Welcome to Dr. Scott's Maths Made Simple, Triangles 1. Tonight I'm just going to talk briefly about triangles and angles. It's just going to be a short talk, starting right from the start. Angles are measurements between two lines, how close they are together. That's the angle there of two lines, and that's about 30 degrees. These two lines intersect at about 60 degrees. These two lines intersect at 90 degrees. 90 degrees is called a right angle. So that is a right angle that equals 90 degrees. I've called these alpha, beta, and gamma, the first three letters of the Greek alphabet. It's just what mathematicians use sometimes. It can be anything though. You can call it A, B, C. It doesn't matter. So that's about 30 degrees, that's about 60 degrees, and that's 90 degrees, or a right angle. You can see here I've drawn a right angle triangle. It's quite narrow. We know that that's 90 degrees because I've marked it with a little square. So when you see a square between two lines, you know it's a right angle. In other words, it equals 90 degrees. So that angle is 90 degrees. This angle, just estimating, this is 30 degrees. This is probably only, say, 10 degrees in here. So this angle here is probably only about 10 degrees. And the degrees is given by a little zero at the top. I know then if this is 10 degrees and that's a right angle or 90 degrees, I know this angle here, I know that it's 80 degrees. How do I know that? This is one of the most important things I'll say today. Every triangle has 180 degrees of angles in it. It doesn't matter what the triangle looks like. They all angles of all triangles add up to 180 degrees. So this triangle here, if you add that angle to that angle to that angle, it equals 180 degrees. This triangle here, that angle plus that angle plus that angle equals 180 degrees. So that's how I knew that that was 80 degrees. If that's a right angle, which is 90 degrees, so don't forget that's 90 degrees there. I estimate that at 10 degrees, so 10 plus 90 is 100. And 100 plus 80 equals 180 degrees because it has to add up to 180 degrees, every single triangle. So that's the first thing. All the additions of angles in any triangle, when you add up the angles, they always equal 180 degrees. People will talk about acute and obtuse angles. Acute angles are less than 90 degrees. So this is an acute angle. This is an acute angle. This is a special one called a right angle. But once it goes past 90 degrees, once it goes back this way, like this angle here, that's an obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. It's just definitions because sometimes you'll hear these words and you need to know what they mean. So that's an acute angle, that's an obtuse angle. That's an acute angle, it's less than 90 degrees. That's an acute angle, it's less than 90 degrees. But don't forget, all three angles here of this triangle will equal, when you add them together, they'll add up to 180 degrees. Same with this triangle, they'll all add up to 180 degrees. Then we have special triangles. Special triangles have a right angle. They're called right angle triangles, like this one. A right angle triangle is a triangle where one of the angles equals 90 degrees. So this is 90 degrees here. Now we know from a fellow who lived about 2,000 years ago called Pythagoras, he worked out that if you square this plus that squared will equal that squared. Now that is the hypotenuse, sometimes abbreviated to H. The longest side of a right angle triangle is called the hypotenuse. It's always opposite the right angle. So I'm only talking about right angled triangles here. So if we call this side A, this side B, and this side C, we know that A times A plus B times B equals C times C. So A squared, in other words, that's A times A, plus B squared, B times B, equals C squared. And if we try it out, you'll see that 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. 3 squared is 9. Agreed? 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 equals 5 squared, which is 25. And if you work that out, 9 plus 16 does equal 25. So any right angled triangle, the two shorter sides squared and added to each other equal the big side squared. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Pythagoras went on to say, if you square this, you can get a square like this, 5 squared, so and that equals 25 square, say, centimeters. (25 centimeters squared). But I think this just complicates things at the moment. So 25 equals 9, 3 squared, 9 square centimeters, plus 16 square centimeters. So Pythagoras actually talked about the squares that come off, but all I want you to remember is that any right angled triangle, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. It doesn't matter they're 3, 4, 5, it doesn't have to be. I'm just giving an example that works out easily. But in any right angled triangle, the longest side is called the hypotenuse, and it's always opposite the right angle. It's always there. That's always the longest side in any right angled triangle. And the two shorter sides, squared and added to each other, will always equal the longer side, the hypotenuse, squared. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And this is his theorem here. You can see it here. I've just written it there for simplicity. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where C is the hypotenuse, or the longest side, that's always opposite the right angle. Next time I'll be talking about sine, cos and tan. I know that worries a lot of people, but we'll take it very slowly and I'll show you that it's actually not that difficult at all. Thank you for listening to me tonight. And don't forget, wombats can run at 40 kilometers an hour. Good night.